Hello, this is Payson here today to walk you through sort of a step-by-step process on how to build a Performance Max campaign. Now keep in mind this is just one way to build a Performance Max campaign, and depending on your advertising objectives, goals, etc., your campaign structure will change, and that's okay. Here today, I'm going to be building a lead generation campaign for our agency, Augurian, to try and drive high quality leads and hopefully potentially turn them into new clients down the road. So for that reason, I'm going to start with the leads as the campaign objective. Now keep in mind, a lot of these steps are very similar to standard campaign types, and that starts with choosing your campaign objective. You're going to have to do that regardless. Today, I'm going to choose leads for a lead generation campaign. Then you're going to choose your conversion goals to improve leads. Conversion goals are created on an account level, and I'm going to keep these standard as is right now. I know that the account and the conversion actions were set up for a reason, so I'm not going to futz with them right now. Just hop right into continue here. Then from here, you're going to select a campaign type. Of course, we all see it. We want to choose Performance Max as the campaign type because that's what we're reaching for. And then come up with a campaign name. I'm just going to come up with a pretty standard Performance Max campaign test. And we're going to go ahead and start a new campaign. From here, you have two options to focus on conversions or conversion value. Now, as we know, maximizing conversions versus maximizing conversion value are inherently different in their overall objectives, but at the end of the day, they both drive conversions. So think about what's most important for your business and go from there. I'm going to go with conversions today. We want to try and drive high quality leads, but we also want a nice quantity of leads. So we're going to start with conversions here on this lead generation campaign. There's an option to bid for customer acquisition, optimizing your campaigns for acquiring new customers, again, based on your advertising objective. If you want to hit return customers but also focus on new, I wouldn't recommend this. But if you're looking for new customer acquisition, maybe you think about hitting that customer acquisition button as part of your campaign type for Performance Max campaigns. Next, you're going to go to your location and language settings. We're just going to pick the US in English for ease here. Final URL expansion, also based on your needs, but we're going to keep that as is for now. This is where we get into the idea of asset groups, assets, audience signals, etc. Starting with asset groups, you can almost think about asset groups as ad groups. But really, they are more than that. They encompass audience targeting. They encompass ad targeting across the entire Google network. As you can see, discovery, display, search, Gmail, and YouTube are all hit on assets, and within asset groups, you have assets, which are essentially a expanded ad across the Google network with images, videos, headlines, descriptions, etc., combining sort of that copy aspect and that image aspect and that video aspect from display, search, YouTube, etc., into one big ad type called an asset. And then from there, you have asset group names. So we're just going to name it something simple here. And again, you can name your asset groups however you want to. If you're segmenting by product type for an e-commerce campaign, maybe you think about shirts as an asset group and pants as an asset group. And from there, building headlines and descriptions and providing images and videos surrounding those respective product types. Or maybe you're a e-commerce retailer that wants to segment by new product collections. So you think about, okay, this July 4th product collection is different than my holiday product collection. From there, tailoring your assets to that as such. We're going to keep it very high level now. I'm not even going to sort of jot down anything in terms of what we need for the asset, but you will need to provide a final URL, a lead form for a B2B or a lead generation type client if you'd like. Otherwise, you can drive them straight to a lead form on your website. Calls, callouts, images, logos, videos, headlines, descriptions, long headlines, etc. All of these are important to encompass within an asset, but I'm not going to do it today just because this is a mock campaign setup and we don't really want to get into that nitty-gritty right now. So you're going to provide all that's needed with an asset within an asset group. And then we're going to get to the idea down here of an audience signal. Just an overview, use an audience signal to reach the right audiences faster. Start by creating or adding an audience. Performance Max will use it as a starting point to find new conversions across Google. This is important to note that an audience signal is sort of a North Star on how to guide your Performance Max campaign. You're telling it, hey, based on my data, my customer data, my website data, maybe affinity or in-market segments that I want to target, this is my audience persona developed into an audience signal, and then Performance Max again uses that signal directly, but also looks to find new customers that are similar to that with Google algorithm and machine learning, etc. So we're going to add an audience signal, and I'll show you what an audience signal looks like right now. You can name it, again, something very basic. But this is where you can add custom segments based on an audience or your data, CRM data, website data. Like I said, also in-market segments, affinity segments, life events, etc. And then maybe if you want to target a specific demographic, you can segment by demographics. But ultimately, the more the merrier when it comes to this audience signal. Segmentation is really not your friend because you want to envelope all your personas into one North Star audience signal for Performance Max to target. So again, we're going to discard this. I'm not going to build a new audience signal today, but understanding the assets to the audience signals for your asset groups is very important to guide Performance Max and the machine learning to say, hey, what do I want out of my campaign and how can I drive success? What does success look like? Well, that's through audience signals. That's through assets. The last is setting your daily budget, and this is arguably the most important part of campaign setup. Not only do you want an adequate budget for your campaign to perform well, it's also necessary. The average daily budget is, the rule of thumb, is 10 times your average cost per acquisition or cost per lead on a B2B basis. Now, what's that mean? Cost per acquisition for non-brand search campaigns, we're not thinking about brand here, we're thinking about non-brand search because brand inevitably will have a lower CPL or CPA. So then we take non-brand search, the average cost per acquisition. Let's say cost per purchase, $20. Well, my average daily budget is going to be $200. Let's say for Augurian, the average cost per lead for us is $40. So I'm going to implement a daily budget of $400. You see what I'm saying here? Use that 10x, your average cost per acquisition or cost per lead rule to set your minimum daily budget for this campaign. If you're an advertiser on a strict budget with a high CPL, or you don't have the budget to work with Performance Max campaign, at least through the learning phase, which is again 2 weeks, upwards of 4 weeks for a learning period, you need to factor that in. Performance Max might not be for you at this time if you don't have adequate budget to support its efforts. So I'm going to just start with 200. Let's just say my cost per acquisition, average cost per acquisition for non-brand search is $200. From here, you're going to review your campaign, and there's going to be a bunch of errors on my end because I haven't put final URLs, or I haven't put headlines and descriptions for my assets, haven't added an audience signal, etc. Again, this is not the point. The point is to just walk through Performance Max campaign setup. When you set it up correctly, it's going to look beautiful. There's going to be no errors because I know you guys are perfect at doing this by now. Again, you can skim through all the settings, etc. And then eventually, if I had the fix-its fixed, I'd have the option to set live, and I would do so. That is it for setting up a Performance Max campaign. Keep in mind the budget rule. Keep in mind adding in assets and audience signals. Keep in mind selecting Performance Max, having your conversion goals in mind, and you will drive success for your business or agency with a Performance Max campaign. This is Payson from Augurian. Thank you. Have a great day.